Trapped in time. This is a story about a tragedy that happened in a distant era of human history. Still, you should know that this story is not about a hero saving a damsel in distress. It doesn't involve dragons or mythical creatures. There is no knight in shining armor or a fairy with magical powder that can make you fly. Then why would I read it, you might wonder? Well, don't ask me. I'm just the author. This story is about something a lot darker and evil than a dragon. It's about judgment, unhappiness, and the importance of self-expression. Her eyes were enormous, round too. I mean, they looked like a couple of coins. Right above the girl's large blue eyes laid a couple of massive eyebrows. Her nose was huge, of course, but relatively small compared to the rest of her face. Out of her scalp grew a forest of golden hair. She looked innocent but monstrous. Still, although I believe that she was able to crush me with a simple gesture of her hand, she did not frighten me. She was merely a child. The enormous child walked towards me and smiled. "Hello, Birdie," she giggled. Birdie? I grew the amount of courage I needed to talk to her and explain that she must have been mistaken, because I was no bird. The young lady's eyes increased so much in dimension that I thought they were going to explode. Her mouth fell open as if she expected some sound to come out. I must say that if to speak was her intention, she failed desperately. She seemed absolutely speechless, and I wondered what I had said that had caused her to go in such a state of shock. As I attempted to ask her if she was all right, she yelled, "Mummy, Mummy, come see, come see. The birdie can talk. Come, Mummy." It felt as if my eardrums had been breached. The little girl was now bearing a smile from one ear to the other, and I couldn't help but to smile as well. Still, why in the world was this little girl convinced that I was a bird? I heard feet marching inside the big mansion. It sounded as if a troll was coming our way, but the girl just kept smiling. No, it was not a troll, but it sure looked like it. I had some hard time identifying what that creature might be. It was a whole lot bigger than the girl, and that is saying much. Not only was this creature big towards the sky, it was also big towards the sides. Its face seemed to have been figured by an extremely unfortunate woodworker, as its features were very disproportionate. Finally, I came to the difficult conclusion that the big, almost scary creature was merely a fat woman. No, she looked furious. Angrily, she paced towards her daughter and yelled, "Rosemary, you should be ashamed. Good girls do not scream, ever. Now go up to your room and don't talk to the bird." That was the last drop. When the woman turned towards me, I politely asked why both she and her daughter believed I was a bird. The woman smiled an evil smile. It seemed that she had been waiting for this question her whole life. "First of all, let me introduce both myself and yourself as well, dearie. My name is Agatha. I'm, as you may have noticed, Rosemary's mother." Her voice was dark and slow, like an old man's. "You, my dear friend, are Jane, a 23-year-old woman who behaves like a child. Women your age are not supposed to dance around the Big Ben and cheer each time the bell chimes. You're supposed to stay at home and take care of your husband and child." I was astonished. I simply could not believe my ears. Who was this fat old woman to tell me how to live my life? Before I managed to protest, the woman continued her speech. "It's not proper for a lady your age to hang around Oxford Street, looking for books and asking people if you may draw their portrait. No, that is your husband's job, love." This time I declared that I had no husband or child, nor did I have plans to have one or the other in the near future. Agatha stared at me as if I was a great disappointment to her. "Do you know why I told my daughter you were a bird? Because you act like one. Birds are used to fly the skies, free, doing what they like and unaware of the consequences. They don't care about anything but their freedom, and they don't believe they're causing any harm to anyone because they're living their own lives. Well, in fact, birds irritate a lot of people. They irritate people who are used to living their own dull and melancholic lives. These people wish to continue living their lives like this because it is the only way of living they know about, and they're afraid of changing. So they don't appreciate people like you coming around and bragging about how happy and free you are. Society does have its own rule steering that we all need to understand and obey. You, unfortunately, failed that mission. That, darling, is why you're now living in a bird cage. Then Agatha left, leaving me in a state of panic. It suddenly hit me where I was. A bird cage. That's why everything seemed so big. It was because I was actually tiny. But why was I here? Was it simply because I didn't live up to the expectations society had of women my age? Women. I'm 23. I'm no woman. I'm not grown up yet, and I should be allowed to enjoy myself. The cage was golden, and it had a big, royal-looking bed. The more I looked, the more I was amazed by its charm and elegance. Although it looked extremely comfortable and nice, there was something very strange to this bird cage. Some cold beauty. Then I understood. It all made sense. The bird cage was a trap. Agatha and her lot wanted to keep me inside it so that the high society of London wouldn't have anything to be ashamed of anymore. Well, good luck with that. If they think they can change the way I think by imprisoning me, they're dead wrong. I'm not that weak. Hours passed, and I was bored to death. Minutes seemed like days. Days seemed like decades. The most irritating of it all was that there was nothing I could do. I was actually trapped. I had no more moves to make, no more cards to play, but I was not giving up. The days turned to weeks, and the weeks to months. I felt I was slowly going insane. My mind wasn't thinking right. My thoughts were out of place, disoriented, lost between all the ticking of the clocks. I could hear the Big Ben from afar, but the heavy bell seemed to chime more rarely than usual. It felt as if all time went slower. My eyelids shut, and I slowly drifted into sleep. I was woken up by a dreadful smell. It seemed like a mixture of moth, humidity, and tobacco. "Good morning, Miss Sunshine." Agatha was standing right in front of me, smoking a cigar and blowing the smoke on my face. "I thought I'd come around to see how you were doing, and to give you a present. After all, it is your 24th birthday today," she said. With that evil smile of hers, she opened the lid of the cage and threw the cigar inside it. Then she left. The smell was nauseating. I attempted to push the cigar out of the cage, but it was too big, and it didn't fit between the bars. The smell entered my head and messed up my brain. I felt dizzy and lightheaded. I did all I was able to not to throw up. I tried to scream, but the smoke had taken over my voice as well. Again, I was drifting. I was 6 years old, and my greatest wish was to fly. I didn't know that it was against the laws of nature, and I didn't understand why my mom didn't allow me to jump right out of the window with my arms stretched open. I was dead sure that if I stretched out my arms as far out as I was able to and let my soul fly free, the body would follow after, and the wind would do the rest of the job. I could see it before me. I was flying, leaving all my worries and troubles behind. The birds wished me welcome to paradise. No one could stop me now. I was the queen of the skies. I ruled the skies for several years. I was the empress of my own fantasy. But sooner or later, we all know that a child's fantasy must vanish. People tell you over and over again that your fantasy is merely a fantasy, and that your dreams are not real. They're just dreams. Eventually, your fantasy collapses, and you become no more than an empty shell. People tell you how to dress and how to behave properly. Dreaming becomes something that only happens in your sleep, and to make fantasies about things that are not real becomes unacceptable. You become a part of the world's society, one out of billions. You become boring, grey and square, like the rest of the others. Then, and only then, do you know that you've outgrown your childhood fantasies. You have become a grown-up.